Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Worth the Wait MMA. Happy Monday. Coming off a big pay-per-view that went down in Manchester, England, UFC 304. The picks, well, I went 9-5 for my picks on Saturday. Those two pick flips that I did for the Rodriguez Duncan fight and the Elliott Parsons fight bit me in the ass. I didn't trust my gut on what I saw, and my reads were correct on Monday when we did the breakdown, and that played exactly how I called it on Monday by pick flipped, because people that I listen to in the MMA community kind of got in my head, and I switched the pick last minute on Friday when I did the final picks, but no more of that, man. I'm staying true to my picks this week.
Trust your gut.
I'm trusting my gut. Co-host back of the camera, we have Drew.
Yes, sir.
So if you guys hear the voice, that's who is back there.
It's
So
just me, y'all.
but yeah, man. 304. It was a shocking card. It was really shocking. We can start with the main event. Drew, who called the main event correct when we did our picks, been riding with Bilal from our picks on Monday to the fight night, and Bilal with the huge upset, just making Leon look, just took him to school, man.
He bullied him.
Yeah.
He followed. That had to have been the game plan. The game plan had to have been to really press, to close the gap, to not let Leon really load up or get comfortable in figuring out like where he was going to be or able to pick him apart. And he was in his face all night, bro. Like all night. And then the takedowns every time. We were talking about wrists. He was locking.
No
like,
fight of hands.
He was locking every time with the takedown, bro.
Bilal was getting to the hips easy.
He was locking,
and straight, just locking the hands straight away. And Leon was not fighting the hands at all.
And it's like we talked about last week with like Leon, the mental, man, like he looked so mentally checked out, bro.
Right after that first round, even though he says he was tired, his body felt tired all week.
Yeah.
What are we doing not preparing for the time?
You're at home, bro.
You live there.
You're there.
What are we doing?
What are you talking about? U.S. fighters came on time, like came ready.
And look better than...
Look, man.
I'm not having that excuse from a champion, man.
That was really...
Can't.
And look, too, like Leon looked great in the third. Whoever scored 48-47 also.
Oh my god.
Like two judges that scored a 48-47. I don't know what
So that was the thing. Like some of these, like Leon ended up on top on like two of these rounds. Late decided to explode and scramble out and get on top and finish the rounds on top of Bilal.
Yeah.
Like, where was this fight for 25 minutes or even 20 minutes, bro? Like,
why was it on the ground in the first place? Because Bilal took him down. Like
Bilal Nurmagomedov over here.
Hey man, it worked.
He's training with Khabib, and he looked like a Khabib student.
Pretty soon it's going to be like time to start talking about Khabib as like one of the better coaches.
That coach, man,
in MMA as well. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, bro, it is. But yeah, new champion in the welterweight division. Bilal he's saying he's not going to give that rematch to Leon, which I love. Let's move on from that.
He said he's ready for Shavkat.
Yes, sir, which I love. And you know what? I'm a big Shavkat fan, but after seeing what Bilal did to Leon, this fight is interesting. I know Shavkat is a scary guy, but Bilal is just as scary as well with the skills. So that fight is a lot closer than a lot of people are given.
There's going to be great value on Bilal.
Absolutely,
it's going to be great value on Bilal.
We need to give respect to the skill set of Bilal now, man.
Absolutely.
That was insane. Tom Aspinall making light work of Curtis Blades.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Just John, it's time. we need to get away from this. I know it's still gonna happen, but the Jones-Stipe fight, I know it's gonna happen, but I wish it didn't.
Yeah. I don't know why Dana wants it so bad.
Yeah, bro. You know Dana loves
why. Like, is it just to build up Jones more at heavyweight, or because look, if Stipe, one of the funniest things and my favorite things about 304, real quick, going back to Bilal, but it ties in, was the like everyone quick to go to like Twitter and TikTok and stuff and post videos showing Dana while the decision was being announced and how pissed he looked and how he just looked like, oh gosh, I gotta put the belts on this guy. And like that's exactly how Dana would look if Stipe caught Jones and knocked him out.
Oh boy,
it would ruin everything.
Oh boy,
It would all go away. All the shit Dana's been popping recently about John Jones and how great he is, like, and if Stipe catches it, like, why risk that, bro? If Jones is gonna go down, why not go down to Tom?
Just
why not a passing of the torch or something? Like, look,
just years of build up.
I don't think Stipe can do it, but in that situation, I would root for chaos and like I would want Stipe to win just because, like, just make Jones and Tom already, man. Especially after this weekend.
But yeah, Tom looked like the best heavyweight on the planet right now with that performance. What else bright spots we had? Oh, Patty the Batty, Bobby, Robert.
King.
I can't call you King no more, man.
he ain't even Prince nothing.
Hey, he put out a video talking.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, come on, man. Come on, Bobby. Yeah, Patty with the first round submission. I wonder what those odds were.
Oh man,
that would have been that's just insane. But I don't know if I don't know if I don't even know what name to call him anymore. I don't know if what Bobby was doing, if because Patty did land the leg kick that kind of knocked him off the feet, and then he decided to shoot or whatever. But Bobby should have never even been in that position. I was hoping that he would just kind of get up and scramble up, but I don't know. Decided to kind of fall through with the takedown, and Patty submitted him transition wise.
The transitions were beautiful. They were next level.
Guillotine to triangle to triangle and the armbar.
And he was asleep by the time you even transitioned to the armbar.
The ref just
he was having it. He took a nap, bro. By the way, on that, Patty was a plus 425 to win by submission. That was the number on Saturday.
Man.
Juicy number, man. Juicy number.
But yeah, Patty looks great. I mean, Patty put on a performance that I think he needed to silence all the haters that's saying that this guy is, is not this and that. So I love the fight that Patty called out Moicano. I love that fight for Patty. I think that's a great fight for like that, beyond from 10 to 15 range of fighters. That's a good fight to make. And with like Moicano being rocked and knocked down in all of his fights, I mean, it's a good winnable fight, I think, for Patty. Which I don't think. I mean, it's a close fight, but Patty has a chance in that, definitely.
And even if it isn't, if it ends up being like if BSD wins, which I don't think he will, but even if he ends up winning and it ends up like you transition to that fight, like that's an exciting fight too. And BSD was a guy that everyone was waiting to crown just a couple months ago.
Yep.
Until the fraud came along and knocked him out and shook up the whole division. But like I'm looking at the rankings now and there's a lot of the older guard at 55 still, like at the top. It's very top heavy with the old guard guys, like with other than Sarukian, it's Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier, Chandler. Like Darush is never going to be a title contender. That's not going to happen.
The transition of in 155 is coming. The new wave, these new names are coming through while we're kind of seeing the OGs kind of being in the middle of this weight class and creating tough fights for these.
It's kind of what we talked about on Saturday after the fight when we were sitting there talking about it, like how kind of 70 is going now, where the transition is kind of happening and it's 70 and 55 have the potential to like both get really young really quick, hopefully, and just have, like you said, that transition, that passing of the guard from the old to the young. And like the way Patty looked on Saturday, man, like there's a path for him.
Yeah.
Like there's a path for him to be 2-3 fights away if things, everything falls the right way.
Next fight I want to just give praise to is Arnold Allen. Great game plan for 15 minutes. Just making Giga uncomfortable. But I think I just think the patience of Arnold Allen here has to be talked about. The patience with the game plan and just following something for 15 minutes because he does. I don't think he does that really well in the past. But yeah, man, circling to the strength, kind of cutting off the cage. He ate Giga's kicks in the first, but yeah, he just kind of did his thing and took Giga's powers away, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that the whole fight, like how it was almost like the first round he was willing to maybe eat some and kind of get the his spacing and his timing down, and to kind of figure out, okay, this is how I'm gonna come at it because I'm gonna circle away from the kick, I'm gonna circle away from the power from his power leg, and then second and third round, man, he just, especially that third, like he just you saw it like all come together, and he
Mm-hmm.
just, man, he was grooving. He looked like totally different than the guy who had lost back-to-back fights.
Yeah.
Like that was a huge win for him.
Two more fights I want to talk about, then we can move on to this weekend's card. I want to give praise to Bruno Brazil. My goodness, man.
Yes, sir.
Bruna, me and Drew talked about this when we broke down the card. If Bruna showed up and decided to just let things go, I mean, she didn't get. I mean, she let the knee, the perfect knee, the time knees to the
that
body.
first round, the
Oh
body
my
work that she
gosh.
did. Oh my god.
I don't know if she's because she's with the Nerds fight team. I don't know what that gym is called, but yeah, I mean she's with the same gym as Gene Silva, who's kind of on a wreck right now. But just a great game plan, just timing the rage of Molly just marching in and just blitzing in and timing the body to the knee or the knee to the body perfectly. Hurting the body of McCann was just beautiful work, man. And that kind of just opened up everything else for Bruno Brazil. Yeah, man, Bruna made me a believer. She kind of got me back into like this is what I wanted to see. So
Again, it's another case of, though, like just the fight you just mentioned with Arnold. Like if you set up a game plan, Bilal as well. Like you have a game plan, you follow the game plan. Like look at how well it works out. And like obviously it's the old saying, like everybody has a plan so they get punched in the face, but like follow your game plan, and it showed on Saturday. Like, man.
and Blades admitted to not following his on the statement that he made, putting on social media. He admitted to wanting to stand and trade, and he kind of threw his game plan out the window and did, got prideful with his hands, and that's what happened. So you guys are working on a game plan for a reason, people.
Man, serious. Like what was camp for?
What are we doing here?
That's like in practice all week, and then you go out
and
and you play the game, and it's like none of these plays. What do we do? Like, no, the guard didn't pull. Like, no one kept contained. Like, what are we doing out here? Like, yeah.
And then we got to talk about the biggest flop fight of this card. We got Mohammad Mukayev versus Manel Kopp. These guys almost fought before the introductions of the fight. They almost fought at the weigh-ins, stuff like that. The build up to this fight was amazing. But what actually happened for 15 minutes for 3 rounds was just awful.
The most excitement was the referee,
yeah,
like stunning Mukayev and Kopp his whole toe issue.
We got Mukayev pulling shorts up, pulling the shorts down. Like,
man,
Mukayev's acting like a wild man behind the scenes, behind the camera. I mean, we've had a few fighters talk about some things that have happened behind the scenes. We had Volk saying something happened at the hotel. Him and someone else were there. Oh, MVP were there, kind of breaking things up with that involved Mukayev. He didn't mention names, but I think it's Jake Hadley because Jake Hadley kind of came out and said some things.
Interesting.
But I mean, even yeah. So Mokaev is off the UFC roster.
done.
He is a free agent. It happened right after the fight, and we heard it from Dana's mouth.
Dana said in the press conference, like they got a PFL.
Yeah, PFL. Have fun picking up this undefeated prospect.
Dan Hardy just got a gem.
So yeah,
I mean, but it's come on, like it's you can't act out and then go in there. Like I think even if he would have went in there and blitzed Cop, or even went in there and just laid on Cop for 3 rounds to win, I still think he would. I mean, he won regardless. But even if it would have been like an impressive win, I don't think that he would have that the decision would have been any different from Dana.
I just feel like this was already made up, and
exactly like no matter what the result was going to be, Dana's mind was made up. Contract like fully fought out. We're good. Peace out. Like don't let the doorknob hit you. And it's crazy because now in a silly ass way, Manel Cop still wins. Like even though he doesn't deserve it, the classic underachiever so far in the UFC, and he gets another break because a guy who just beat him and could have called for a title shot is now gone and out of his way again, and he didn't even have to win the fight to do anything about it, like to have it. Manel Cop, like he's he's on my fraud list, man.
Nothing happens.
He's a fraud through and through. Like Cop, I'm done.
It's almost like we said with Brener, like. Do something, pull something. Like where's the striking? Where's the striking at?
My toe hurt.
Oh my god!
Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's gonna be an excuse built in for Cop all the time. There's always just gonna be something, and I'm tired of it. And like I said, he's still instead of being able to call for a title shot, he's probably one more fight away again. He wins another one in that division, like he's a fight away, and that's crazy.
With Mokaev being 23 years old, I get he's still kind of a young kind of kid who just making a lot of money being stupid. Maybe he goes to the PFL, still has that noise and kind of grows and matures, and maybe he comes back to Dana crying and begging for another chance. So maybe he comes back. Who knows?
Like you could go away for 5 years and he's back before he's 30. It's back before his prime essentially.
And that's
5 years. That's wild. That's crazy. So it's not over. That's why I like the people on Twitter and stuff crying and all that. Like I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the last of Mokaev in the UFC.
I don't think so either.
I mean, there have been a lot crazier reconciliations that have got people like Nick Diaz has a fight again in the UFC. Like, come on, out of thin air. By the way, like, I don't think Mokaev. He's got to play it right. Obviously, he's got to be smart. He's got to perform, but the door isn't closed for him.
Yeah, and I think Dana would be stupid to kind of close the door 100% on him and just kind of send him off, let him mature a little bit in a different organization.
He should go over to Japan and fight start building up and fight Mighty Mouse over there.
Oh,
well, yeah, that's what he need to be doing out there. Go chase Mighty Mouse.
But that's just kind of some of our highlights I wanted to point out for UFC 304 that happened Saturday. Now we're moving into this week's card. A very, very exciting fight night, UFC Abu Dhabi. People are saying it's Saudi Arabia. We're not there yet, folks. UFC Abu Dhabi going down Saturday. Early start time for us in the West Coast, 9 a.m. start time for the prelims, noon for the main card start.
Do you like that? You like early cards, or do you like when they do sometimes in Europe the afternoon cards, or do you just like it's regimented? I like my 3 o'clock start.
I like my 3 o'clock start.
Yeah,
I like getting stuff out of the way in the morning on Saturdays.
Yeah. Now you starting your day off like you get right to it,
and then so. I do like the 3 o'clock start, the 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Start
for the pay-per-view or the main,
But you know what? I'm never going to complain, guys, because you guys overseas, you guys got.
They just went through it, man.
I finally saw someone put a video together of all the fans are sleeping.
You saw that? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man! Just
and you can't blame them.
No.
Like you can't blame him at all.
That's love and dedication. Even me being a Vikings fan and like I love my Vikings. I've missed like 10 games throughout my lifespan of being a Vikings fan. Like, I don't even know if I would wake up that early or, stay up that late to watch a Vikings game. Like, it's insane.
I don't know, man. Hey, when I was in Italy back in 2019, I set an alarm. The Raiders played the Chargers on a Thursday, and I set an alarm for 3 in the morning.
The alarm.
3 in the morning, bro. I set an alarm to wake up and watch on my phone, watch Raiders Chargers at 3 in the morning in
Got one
Italy
eye
on my
open.
phone. Yep, straight up. And we won. It was worth it. You feel me? So I get it. I definitely ain't gonna go to the stadium and watch it though at like 3 in the morning. Like,
love
that's
it, love
crazy.
it. But yeah, we got a 13 fight card here. You know how we do it. We will start with the early prelims, work our way up to the main event. But yeah, before we get into the card, I just want to say thank you for all of the views that my last breakdown has gotten. That's probably the most views I've gotten on a MMA content that I've ever made. So I'm really, it really like excites me and just excites me to keep on making more, pushing forward with making more, MMA or UFC breakdowns for the cards. So I appreciate all the views that the last breakdown has gotten, and we try to build on top of that. So, but yeah, let's get into the first fight of UFC Abu Dhabi. We have Sedriques 21 Savage Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Tiuliulin coming into this fight 10-9. That's like some like women's nasty MMA record. Like,
That's wild.
That's like some Angela Hill record right there. 10-9 coming into this fight. This man has to be close to being cut. Like, if he loses this fight, there's no way he has a job. But again, Sam Alvey still has a job or had a job, well within just losing. But since Tiuliulin has been in the UFC, he only has his only win is against Jamie Pickett, and that was back in 2022. And you guys know Jamie Pickett getting that Bo Nickel fight was part of the highlight of his career. And just Jamie Pickett is not good, guys. So, his losses are against average to below average competition in the division. But he looks slow in these past fights. I know he's losing to some good competition, but it's the way he's losing. He just doesn't look good. He does like to make fights a brawl on the feet, but we have seen the recipe for to beat Tiuliulin pretty clearly is getting this fight to the ground and submitting him. He just has no IQ on the ground, it looks like. But again, Dumas, on the other hand, he has a good foundation with the striking. A little bit green. I still kind of I feel like he doesn't he gets gun shy sometimes with the punches. It's like he almost doesn't believe in himself fully with the strikes. His jab is good. If he decides to throw the jab out there more, it could do some damage. But I think the kicks are his best tools here. The jab and the kicks are nice with striking with Dumas. But the game plan for Dumas, as we just talked about, has to be using his wrestling and getting this fight to the ground. I think things can get interesting on the feet because, it's not like Tiuliulин's just completely out of there with the feet. But so Dumas should get the win here. Dumas isn't. Dumas isn't finishing the fights either, which is kind of worries me a little bit. But I think Dumas gets this on the scorecards. People are calling submission for Dumas that I've kind of heard, but I don't think Dumas has the IQ of locking up a submission just yet. But I think he does get a decision win here. So give me 21 Savage Dumas to get a 29-28 or 30-27 decision win, but I think he gets this clear. Next up, we have Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. I actually really like this fight. That we just saw Leon Edwards last fight card. Jai Herbert trains with Leon. he kind of fights like Leon too. I mean, on the feet, we kind of see similarities with their striking and their kicks, but again, they're so meticulous. I think they kind of overthink. Oh, Jai Herbert overthinks his striking sometimes to where he doesn't even throw. So, but I want to start with Bedoya first. Bedoya making his third walk to the octagon here, 27 years old. He is on a 2-fight losing streak, even though I thought he won his UFC debut versus Chaos Williams. But I think this kid is a bright spot, especially in the gym that he's at with the shoot the box gym. Real tough kid. Yeah, lost split decision by Chaos Williams, but he stood in there and exchanged strikes with Williams. And kind of he has this real loose fight style. He doesn't load up on any strikes, but defensively he looks solid. Really sways well, sees strikes coming, uses the side to side footwork. It was really really nice. Um, but yeah, I like what I saw in that fight with Bedoya. I thought he won against Williams after rewatching that fight back. I thought he landed the better, cleaner strikes. I feel like Bedoya is getting unlucky with, um, his opponents landing bigger shots, having those moments to where I think the judges are just kind of leaning towards the other way, and Bedoya is losing these decisions. But the volume is there, the striking's there. And Jai Herbert, on the other hand, um, we've seen some great things from in his career, but he probably doesn't get as much respect. But the stand up striking, the power is there. His biggest moment is almost finishing Ilya Taporia. That was at 155 for Taporia, but yeah, I think Jai Herbert just has a lot of snap with his punches, his kicks. He has great kicks. I think his kicks are better than his hands. Um, so, but his last finish was against Kama Worthy, which he's not even in the UFC anymore, and Worthy's not even a good opponent, I don't think, or a good fighter.
That was 3 years ago too.
Yeah. So people talk about Herbert's power. I just don't see it. The striking is nice, but it's kind of like I said with the similarities I see with Herbert and Edwards, to where I feel like Herbert more so is kind of just thinking too much about where he wants to kind of let his shots go, and he kind of falls into this lull of not throwing anything. Um, and the way Bedoya kind of rolls with punches and just has that great footwork, I think he does a good job of striking and then moving lateral movements. And Bedoya seems like Bedoya is a more durable fighter here. We've seen him take the better shots of Chaos Williams. And Bedoya is pretty young and crazy, and I think he fits in at the shoot the box gym because he gets hit and then he smiles at you and just kind of let's go, like wants to throw down. So I like Bedoya here, and Bedoya is the underdog here, and I think this is a great spot for the underdog here to kind of get a win from the vet, Jai Herbert. And I'm not letting the Leon loss get to me with this because they do train together and they're pretty close friends. But I don't know. I like the counter fighting of Bedoya, and I think Bedoya is in the right weight class right now for this fight. So give me Bedoya by unanimous decision here to pull an upset here against Jai Herbert.
Plus
Yeah,
140 on Bedoya.
I think there's really good value. I know people are looking at the back to back losses here, but um, I think he's learning. He's still young. He did kind of take some time away after his last loss against Kenan Song, but the stylistic matchup here to where I think he's just a better defensive or the counter striker here, and I just like the movement from Bedoya, and I just think Jai Herbert is mid. I just think he's mid.
He's up there, like he's
yeah.
holding it.
Next up, we have Viktoriia Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. This is an interesting, very interesting women's strawweight fight. Dudakova 8-0, making her fourth walk to the UFC octagon. Dudakova is always looking to get this fight to the ground, use the wrestling, and use her jiu-jitsu to lock up some nasty submissions. And Dudakova is a big strawweight too. She's bigger than a lot of people that she has fought. She's stronger. She uses her strength well, but but Dudakova is so good on top. She's really heavy on the top when she's in guard. Very methodical worker on the ground. But her striking, isn't terrible. She has some good punches. I feel like a lot of especially women fighters, if they're good on the ground, their footwork and the strikes just doesn't look good. But it's not the case with Dudakova here. Active in clinch with the knees. It's still not her bread and butter to be on the feet, even though she is capable. But we saw in Dudakova's last fight against Jinyu Fry, and to speak about Jinyu Fry real quick, like I feel like all of us MMA fans have this fighter that we thought was going to be something. We have a lot. We have a lot of those fighters, right? We see the new faces, we see the debuts, and we're like, I think he's going to be something. Jinyu Fry was like kind of that person for me. Even though she was an atom weight, moving up in weight to strawweight when she moved up to the UFC from Invicta, I just thought Jinyu Fry just had that. She had that frame of like just yoked and just. I thought she was gonna kind of win a lot of striking stand-ups and get some knockouts, but the UFC didn't do any favors of matching her up with wrestlers, and that is not good. So Fry just didn't work out, but yeah, with Dudakova's last fight with Jinyu Fry, Frey was able to stuff all the takedowns from Dudakova, which was kind of crazy. It's not like Jinyu Fry is terrible with like takedowns. I think she's okay, but the way people talk about Dudakova's wrestling and seeing her get her takedown stuff by a Jinyu Fry is not what I wanted to see when I was watching tape for this fight. It kind of worries me a little bit because she did shoot 3 takedowns and all got stuffed. So it's not like it didn't look like she was even fighting for those takedowns either. Like she just kind of gave up on those. No chain wrestling from her as well. So and with Sam Hughes on the other hand, I like Hughes. She's a real scrappy dog. I feel like she's an underdog in a lot of her matchups. Seems to be counted out a lot, but she has fought a lot of tough competition since entering the UFC in 2020. Tisha Pennington, Luma Lugbumi, Jacqueline Amarim, Yasmin Yoregi. In her last fight, even in her decision losses, she's going the distance with tough competition. So the dogfight is there for Sam Hughes. Hughes brings experience, better, cleaner striking from Hughes. And if Hughes can defend takedowns, takedowns, and what does would and use the pressuring, striking, and just kind of be the stalking in the face of Dudakova, I think the younger fighter with Dudakova kind of may struggle here a little bit. I just don't know what Dudakova looks like when she is facing someone with the resume of Sam Hughes. So I'm not sold on Dudakova yet. She was fighting cans. She was fighting cans before she got to the UFC, and the competition that she's fighting in the UFC is lower tier. And I think Sam Hughes is the best fighter she has fought. Even though Sam Hughes does get taken down, she's still able to get up to her feet, and that's what I've seen in most of her fights. With the fight with Amarim that I just mentioned, Amarim is someone who is moving up in the 115 division. She's looking like a strong, young fighter that's moving up. Amarim had a nasty submission locked in twice in the first round, and Sam Hughes fought out of those and took Amarim to 15 minutes and won by decision. The dog and the pace of Sam Hughes, I love. And I just think this is more of a prove it to me fight for Dudakova. I just need to see more. And if this stays on the feet, I think Sam Hughes has enough to box and win some moments here. So I'm taking again the underdog here. I'm taking the vet and Sam Hughes to get the split decision win here. So yeah, I feel like it's not going to be a very popular a pick here, but I'm not there yet with Dudakova. I don't see what you guys see. I see the shiny undefeated record, yes, but when looking at the tape, especially that Jinu Fry fight, I did not feel comfortable going the side of Dudakova here for this fight. So give me Sam Hughes by split decision. Next up, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucenic. So Vucenic is taking this fight on short notice. As of Wednesday or Thursday last week, he took this fight.
Yo, have you seen his last scheduled fight? It says his last fight was on July 20th.
2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, July 20th in Cage Warriors.
Actually,
a week and a half ago.
Wow,
that's crazy. And he won by guillotine. He won in under a minute and a half.
I'm gonna get into that right now.
By guillotine.
That's crazy. I'm gonna get into this. So yeah, Vucenic taking this fight on short notice. But digging into Vucenic's career, I see the 4-fight win streak here. All of those 4 fights he won by submission. So in my eyes, I'm like, oh, I'm impressed. I see the finishes in the first round. He's getting these guys out early. So I decided to look into his opponents and their records. 3 out of the 4 of those fights they're just trash. They're like 0-3, 0-1. The young fighters in their MMA careers who aren't doing anything. So again, I don't hold much weight in that win streak. Okay. And then I decided to go to his last win, or his last loss, I mean. After seeing that win streak, I decided to go watch the Paul Hughes fight in Cage Warriors. Paul Hughes being 12-1, good striking, light on the feet, solid kicks. Vucenic doesn't have the knockout power, but still a good striker though. But I feel like once Paul Hughes pressured Vucenic and took the distance away, Vucenic was just doing the bare minimum to stay in that fight. I think Vucenic can grow into the UFC and kind of be something, but I think this is a huge step up from the cans that he just submitted to Guram. I know Guram. I know people may be off the Guram train after that Elves Brener kind of wrecked him in the 3rd round. We saw the terrible gas tank from Guram in that Elves Brener fight. But Brener is a good fighter, though. But Guram is a BJJ black belt, strong striker. When lands, you hear that thud from Guram. I do worry about Guram and his cardio because Guram is coming into this fight off a layoff. So I would hope in that layoff we see some growth, we see some maturity. But I can't deny the skill set that Guram brings to this fight. I think it's going to be a very, very tough matchup for Vucenic in his debut. And he just had a fight
9 days ago. 9 days ago, yeah.
And he has to cut weight again for this fight. And it's in Abu Dhabi. Like, I don't like any of those things for the short notice here.
The only thing that sounds good in all of that for him is that he's going to buy himself a full camp fight with the UFC for taking it on short notice. That's it, because we all know how Dana loves that. But other than that, yeah, I looked up the guys that he fought. His 4-fight winning streak, the combined record of those guys was 34-23. That's really bad. Really bad.
And you kind of have to dig when you guys dig into that Cage Warriors scene.
Got to get to Sherdog and stuff for that, man.
You have to dig into those records because Cage Warriors, yeah, they have some good fighters, but a lot of them still young and not experienced yet, and still coming up in the scene in that. So I'm kind of glad that I looked into the records of the opponents for Jordan Vucenic. Again, I think he can be something, but I don't like this matchup, the short notice. the 2 weight cuts in 2 weeks. Even though I know this is a weight class up, and so he doesn't have to cut that much, but still, you're still cutting weight. Yeah, just give me Guram to finish by TKO here. Yeah. Next up, we have a sloppy heavyweight fight. We have Shamil. Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. I'll make this one quick. Gaziev got exposed in his last fight against Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rosenstruik.
Baby.
We saw Gaziev is not a 25-minute fighter. The man was gassed in the second round. He had an explosive first round, but that's all he has really. And it didn't help that Rosenstruik was pressuring forward and just was not leaving the Shamil's distance and just crowding everything. He just gave a lot he gave a lot of to Gaziev to handle in that fight, and I think that was a big step up for Gaziev too. So the UFC didn't do Gaziev any favors there. I'm just not high on Mays. Dontel Mays, I'm not high on. His TKO KO win over 44-year-old Arlovsky doesn't mean much to me. Sorry, Andre. I'm sorry, Andre. I didn't mean to say this about you, but it's true.
No, that's like I said, that's elderly abuse, bro.
But that doesn't mean much to me. And Dontel Mays is just bottom tier heavyweight fighter for me. So I think Gaziev gets a TKO win over Mays. I think Gaziev is just a bit stronger. I think he blitzes Mays and kind of makes Mays uncomfortable. And we see a finish here for Shamil Gaziev. I just don't think Dontel Mays doesn't even know what he's got himself into this weekend. So give me Gaziev by TKO. Let me get a quick water break here. Next up, we have Mohammad Yahya versus Caio Fernandez. I don't know.
Yeah, Caio Fernandez.
I'm taking Fernandez in this fight. I think Fernandez has a strong advantage in the wrestling. He has good pressure getting the takedowns, but Yahya striking, it's like he's fighting at a sparring pace. He does good, keeping you at distance and picking you apart. But with the pressure that Fernandez brings with the wrestling, I think he's just going to cut that distance away and just, make this fight a dirty fight, which I don't think Yahya is prepared for. I think Fernandez makes this an easy fight. So give me 30-27 decision by Fernandez to win. Next fight, we have Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov. I don't know.
Murzakanov.
Yeah, you guys get it. So Alonzo he's a headache, man. Alonzo is so frustrating to watch, man. Yeah. Especially in his last fight against Carlos Ulberg. This man decides to sprint across the cage to Ulberg and gets knocked out in 12 seconds. The low IQ to sprint to Ulberg, like, what are you thinking? And you already don't have a good chin, so I just don't know. Like you see these spots in Alonzo Menifield's career where he does things, you're scratching your head, like, why would you do this? Especially on the ground, he makes mistakes. Just low IQ, bro, and off. It's kind of a quick turnaround. With 2 months ago, he just got knocked out in 12 seconds. So, again, I'm not comfortable picking someone who just got knocked out 2 months ago. I know 2 months is a lengthy time, a little bit, but in MMA terms and getting hurt, I don't think it is that long. It's very quick. I just don't agree with the comeback so early. So, and it's like Azamat he has some knockout power too. So I get. I like Menifield a lot. I would take him in a full kind of maybe 6 months out, and he comes back to this fight. But 2 months after getting knocked out, the IQ just is not there for Menifield. Even though he has good skills, he has solid power, um, good wrestling, but the cardio is terrible. IQ is bad, and I just can't trust or get behind the Menifield to make the right decision. So I'm going to take a KO victory by Amzad.
Azamat,
Azamat.
get Alonzo Menifield out the rankings.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have the main card opener for this fight. And before we get into the main card, if you haven't already, hopefully I do enough on your sub. Like the video, comment down your picks and what you think of my breakdown so far. But let's get into this main card opener. We had Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brener. I love this fight. It's a great fight at lightweight. I see Alvarez as a favorite here. He has good BJJ, but this man has terrible takedown defense. The percentage is low for the takedown defense, so it's almost like if you shoot and go for it, you're gonna get it. So, but he is a slick striker on the feet. Nice leg kicks. I'm pretty sure he will be the bigger fighter here. But something about Brener and his style, he has a good grappling game, good looping shots. But Brener has this pressure and stalking style I like, just always coming forward. I love the activity of Brener. Um, Alvarez has fought once every year since 2021. So 3 fights in the last 3 years. I don't know what's going on with him, why he's being sidelined so much. But I feel confident in the underdog here with Elvis Brener. I think he's going to just edge Alvarez in just about everywhere in this fight. It can get interesting on the feet because they're both very slick strikers. But if Brener decides to be heavy with the takedowns and getting this fight to the ground, even though Alvarez loves to kind of attack submissions from his back, I just don't think you want to be on your back while Brener is, going to work in full guard or on top. So, and I like Brener as a dog. He just has that dog mentality. As you saw, as I just mentioned with Guram, he finished Guram in the third round, and he survived Guram's strong first round. He almost got Brener out of there in the first round, but he survived and he finished Guram in the third round. So we see this dog mentality. Brenner's going to fight for your money, and the inactivity of Alvarez, I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't know. I'm going to take the dog here, and I'm just going to have faith in the person who's going to fight for my money more. So I feel comfortable taking the dog here. So give me the underdog, Elvis Brener, by decision. I have a few dogs already.
3, man. You got me wanting to put something together. And we ain't even got like halfway through the main. Like, yeah.
Next up, we have a woman's strawweight fight: Mackenzie Dern versus Lupi Godinez. Lupi Godinez coming into this fight after her loss to Verna Gingeroba, which is going to age beautifully, I believe. Verna fights for the belt soon, and Whaley has her hands full with Verna. Whaley better watch out because Verna's pretty nasty, man. But Lupi was in competitive scrambles with Verna in that fight. It got interesting on the ground for a round or two, and then Verna did her thing. But I think it was good to see just Lupi fight in those exchanges on the ground, especially coming into the fight against someone who's nasty with her BJJ and Dern.
Can't wait to get to the ground.
Yeah. But yeah, even though Lupi lost that fight, I like what I saw from Lupi. Lupi is going to be the smaller in weight, in height, and have the reach disadvantage here. Her hands and boxing are so good. Lupi does train with Alexa Grasso in her gym. A lot of killers over there, like Diego Lopez. So And I think they're kind of getting Lopez being a good teacher for the jujitsu stuff and the grappling. I think Lupe's ground game is kind of evolving as well, and she's still growing. Lupe Godinez is. But Dern is a dog, though. I mean, she has come a long way in her evolution to MMA. I haven't seen the growth after her losses. Like she loses, especially recently. Like she loses, and we expect to see the hands come through, just better decision making. She speaks about her boxing coach, which Prillo maybe I think that's her coach. I don't know, but
Like the Angela Hill fight from her I thought that was beautiful. Like that was a great Mackenzie Dern fight, and she's lost 2 in a row since then.
yeah.
Like, and then before that, it was like you said, it's just a roller coaster. Recently, like going back like like 3 years now, it's been a roller coaster up and down, alternating wins and losses for her.
When Dern isn't getting fights to the ground, she gets reckless with her striking and just throws wild shit and just the chin is up and she's just
she does throw that chin goes crazy.
It's almost like whatever it takes to close the distance and just get this fight to the ground. And with doing that with the boxer like Lupe, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing here. Where am I at with my notes? I love the skill set. From what the heck?
Mackenzie.
Yeah, with Mackenzie. But yes, she's gonna thrive on the ground. Obviously, she's gonna get this fight to the ground. Obviously, but like I just said, Lupe's growing. The boxing is matching up with the grappling here with Lupe. We've seen Dern struggle with these strikers, but Dern's gonna be the bigger fighter here. And if Dern is willing to pull guard and be on her back and she's comfortable and she's just wants to just wishing to throw up a submission and hope and pray for she locks up something while Lupe gets this fight to the ground, because I think Lupe's wrestling is good enough to get Dern to the ground. And that's the grappling that worries me if Lupe wants to do exchange with Dern on the ground. But I'm gonna take the striking and the wrestler here in Lupe Godinez.
Another dog.
I'm not confident about this one like I am with some other dogs, but I'm gonna give me Lupe Godinez to win by decision here.
This one's got to be one where game plan is just for both sides.
Yeah,
because like
stay the course.
Like you said, like you said with Mackenzie, like when she's got to have a game plan in fighting another striker. She can't go in like you just talked about, chin up all crazy and just swinging and grabbing, because she that's the part that frustrates me, when she literally is reaching like for the takedown, like trying to reach out and close the gap with her chin wide, like straight up in the air and just reaching for that takedown. She'll get put to sleep doing that. So have they come up with a game plan to get this fight to the ground where she thrives, and will she execute that game plan? And the same thing for Lupe. Like, what's the game plan if it does get to the ground? What's the game plan to keep the spacing? And honestly, just hope Mackenzie ditches her game plan like she usually does against strikers, and hope she comes in with that chin up and just pick her apart and finish her. But it's my girl, man.
Like Lupe does have good lateral movement as well. I mean, she has that boxing background, so the footwork is great.
So I'm saying, like, Dern is built to be sidestepped when she comes in all wild like that, trying to close the gap to get the fight to the ground, and that's built that falls right into Lupe's game, like her strengths.
So I'm just going off what I think. I'm just going off like game plan and growth from Lupe with the wrestling offense and the boxing. So that's what I'm kind of basing my pick here off picking Lupe. So let's get into this next fight, man. Oh my goodness. We have Tony Ferguson versus Michael. Don't ever talk about my mom, Chiesa.
The corpse of Tony Ferguson.
Man, if this was a couple years ago, I'm taking Ferguson. But We are 2024. This man is about to tie BJ Penn for the longest losing streak.
Yo.
And it's so insane. My goodness.
Oh.
Like I'm even talking about 3 years ago when after Tony lost to Oliveira, like I would take that Tony over Chiesa. And I'm not even joking. I just don't think Chiesa's that good. I mean, he just shoots and hopes that he gets a takedown. And even when he did get the takedown, he got subbed by Holland. But
Yeah, he did.
I'm not even high about both these guys. But I just
This
think
is a crazy fight. Like, what's the point of this fight?
exactly.
What is the other than name recognition for the ABC fans?
Like this does nothing for Chiesa if he wins. Like just
it's a combined. It's a combined 10 losses in a row between the two of them.
Yeah, because
it's a combined. It's seven straight losses for Ferguson and 3 straight losses
for Chiesa.
And like Ferguson's list of losses is crazy.
It's insane.
You put together their 2 like resumes, and it's legit. Like it's the craziest. It's one of the craziest resumes you've seen. But these guys are this fight. I don't get it.
Tony is so far removed from his good years, and just it's crazy because he knocks down Bobby Green, and their fight in that first round had a competitive first round against Chandler before he gets his head punted off. That's the next knockout I've seen. Yes, he is on a 7-fight losing streak. Tony Ferguson is, but there have been some flashes of good in this losing streak. Okay, it's not all just bad.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm not trying. I might be trying to sell you Tony Ferguson here, but I'm not picking Tony Ferguson, guys. I'm just saying. I'm trying to sell you some crappy stuff here, but
my man's hasn't won a fight in 5 years. And do
so
you remember
insane.
his last win? It was Donald Cerrone. And do you remember like why he won?
Is that when
that was the nose?
Donald blew his
That's
nose.
When we learned about what it does to you.
His eye blew up, and then the doctor stopped it.
And before that, it was Pettis with the corner stoppage.
Oh, that was
sad. So like really like my man's hasn't won a fight by like actually winning a fight since October of 2017.
Oh my gosh.
Against Kevin Lee for the interim title. Can you imagine like the multiverse world where Kevin Lee won the UFC lightweight interim title?
Wow.
Like
you know who's big on Kevin Lee? It's Triton, my brother. My brother Triton loves some Kevin Lee.
Is he big on his brother Keith Lee too? I'll ask him next time I see him. Kevin Lee is kind of one of, like you talked about earlier. He's one of those fighters that like you looked at him and you saw it's like, there's no reason this dude shouldn't be a star and like a future champion someday.
He had the skill set, bro. He had it.
He was vicious too. Like just
didn't happen. Didn't pan out.
But that's how far back we're talking for Tony Ferguson being. I mean, not relevant, but like winning, a legit winner in the UFC period, but at 55. Is this one? Wow. This one's a 70, yeah.
Welterweight, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 70. I mean, this has got to be it for Ferguson. I mean, like, come on, man. This is.
It looks like Tony Ferguson's just trying to find his weight class that he's just. I feel like he goes back and forth with 55 and 70, trying to find his home.
Bro, you're 40. Just keep the weight.
But man, it doesn't make me feel any good that Nate made you look like that. Like Nate made you look like that. I don't like. It shouldn't even happen, man. Yeah, I'm taking Chiesa. I think Chiesa's going to be the bigger guy here to get the takedowns. Chiesa's a huge 70 and just big frame. He fills out well too on the fight day. That boy is pretty thick. So I think the wrestling is just too strong for Chiesa, and this is going to be a boring fight. It better end in one round, please.
I do. That's the thing. That's why I'm the way I am with this fight. I feel like this is just going to be a boring ass fight.
It's going to be so terrible.
Like, this is going to be one where like I go like I might go to Pink Box or something while this is on. I might make some French toast or something while this is on. Like I'm not I'm your boy Hollow. I'm not excited. This fight, like you said, this fight 5 years ago, I'm like, okay, like cool, but I really do think that this is strictly like
So nasty.
it's Dana using the ABC like platform to be like, oh, let's get people to watch this because it's two names that they've heard of. And like, yeah, cool. Because Chiesa has the personality too, like from being on
he does.
TV and all that. And Tony Ferguson, I guess, is still a sellable name. But yeah, man, like just get me to the next fights, like please, because this doesn't do it for me.
This is random, but you know what was so terrible? I was pissed when they announced it was Neil Magny versus Chiesa. Because I knew this fight was going to be boring. I knew that fight was going to be terrible. And I was like, why would you make this fight happen? Oh my gosh,
My
nasty
forever
stuff.
lifelong beef with Neil Magny.
Losing us money over there. Oh man. Okay, next fight. We have Marlon Chito Vera making his his way back after getting his ass kicked by Sean O'Malley.
Fraud.
Versus Davison Figueiredo. We have Figgy back after his great performance at UFC 300.
Yes.
Getting Cody Garbrandt out of here. Listen, I feel like a lot of the MMA community is looking at Vera differently after getting getting outclassed on the feet by O'Malley. I get Vera was talking big, and it's different when you stand in front of O'Malley. When you finally get locked in that cage and it's 25 minutes, you versus O'Malley, and O'Malley's just moving different. Vera had no answer for the champ. So that bad taste of that performance lingers in the minds of the MMA community. I get it. But I look at Cheeto as that loss being a motivational loss, and he learned from it. I went back and looked at the more recent years of 3-round fights for Vera to see how many strikes he landed in 15 minutes, because a lot of the bad talk of Vera starting slow, not having any output, and that's in 5-round fights. That's 25 minutes. So I went to look back at his recent 3-round fights in 15 minutes to see what his output was looking like. So his fight with Pedro Munoz, 41 strikes landed. Frank Edgar, 88 strikes. Davy Grant, 105. Those were his last 3-rounders were against those guys. So the whole slow starter, low output, true to an extent, but you are seeing the volume pick up from round to round, and Vera is known for kind of picking things up. I know it's a slow start, and it kind of worries people who puts money on Vera when he's not throwing much in the first round. You're kind of waiting for him to react to something. I get it, but we're seeing the output is there after 15 minutes. I get it. You just have to sweat it out a little bit. But Vera, known for good takedown defense, he is on his back. I mean, when people get him to the ground and he is on his back, he's active with submission attempts, throwing elbows, just trying to look like the more active fighter while he's on his back, which is a good sign, I think, to see some fight from someone who's on their back. But Figgy, on the other hand, this being his third fight at 135, coming off wins against Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt, two stylistic matchups that really favored Figgy, in my opinion. Fighting two boxers that don't have the best takedown defense and sort of struggle on the ground with the grappling. And I'm writing this. I wrote this all yesterday, all these notes, and I saw a video before recording that Figgy spent some time with Khabib.
Oh, he's the secret sauce now, man.
So, all my notes so far right now are saying, Vera's great takedown defense, this and that, and I wrote down Cheeto by split decision here. But after I saw that video of Figgy going to Khabib and learning and training with Umar as well, that changes my pick here, I believe. So, the the power is carrying Figgy well at 135. The power's still there. Yeah, he's a bit older, 36 years old for Figgy, but he hasn't taken a lot of damage in a few fights. I think he's coming out of these fights pretty clean as far as damage and taking damage. If boxers are having a tough time finding Figgy's chin, like a Font and Cody Garbrandt, what is I know Cheeto is a good striker, but I feel like he does a lot of good with his teep kicks and kicks. The hands are okay from Vera, so I think Figgy has the game plan here. I think he's just going to mix things up on Vera to kind of keep Vera guessing, kind of give a lot to Vera to deal with to see how Vera reacts. The durability is on both sides. I think both of them are durable enough for this fight to go 15 minutes. But yeah, just something about seeing Figgy, leave the gym of Khabib, dab up Khabib, and then dap up Umar. I'm sure with Umar being the main event here, like I like what I saw. Like you said, the secret guy here
Secret
with
sauce, man.
with
It's
with
crazy.
Coach Khabib and getting these guys wrestling sharpened, and everyone's kind of going to this wrestling now, which is sometimes good, sometimes boring, but it's helping these fighters evolve. And
Well, you know what I like about the Habib wrestling? And Bilal showed it.
Mm.
And I mean, Habib showed it. Islam shows it. It's not like the old GSP wrestling. It's not that whole division of 70 wrestling. Because back then, guys used to just take you down
and
and
pray.
just lay and pray.
Yeah.
And now guys are throwing elbows and they're trying to inflict damage and they're trying to move positions and they're going to throw subs and all that. Like they're being active while on top, as opposed to the old guys who was just boring. And there's still some guys that do that. But I man, like I was looking like into Davison Figueredo more and like my man's legit like a Hall of Famer. He's his losses are Moreno. Like he had what was it, 4 fights, 3 or 4 fights with Moreno. Four
Four.
fights with Moreno, and he lost to Husier Formiga before he even got to like his third, fourth fight in the UFC. Like my man is a 2-time champion. He's undefeated now at bantamweight. If he wins this fight, that's going to be
This is huge.
Interesting. Like this is the fight I'm most looking forward to
Me
on
too.
the whole card. Like no disrespect to any of the other fight, but this one right here, and I mean my girl Mackenzie Dern for different reasons. But like no, like legit, like this. I'm not a Cheeto fan. I thought that I thought he got what he deserved in the last fight against O'Malley, just getting completely pieced up the whole fight.
Perillo's about to beat Cheeto's ass for not doing anything, bro. I don't know how I could be a coach of Vera when he's just not doing much. But go ahead.
I'm curious to see like how you said. So Cheeto's last, I mean, before obviously he had the Munoz fight, but like before that, 4 of his last 5 fights are 5-rounders.
Yep.
Like scheduled for 5 rounds. So he could go in with a certain game plan that let him, as again, you reference people complain about his activity and lack of activity maybe earlier on. And even against O'Malley, he was kind of passive at first and then turned it on more so, like if I remember right, in the 3rd round of that one. But in a shorter 3-round fight, again, you said the volume, 141 strikes. 3-round fight, you maybe have the first round to play around with, as Arnold Allen showed over the weekend. But against a figure, are you willing to risk a round just to kind of feel out and to test your spacing and everything? I don't know. So I don't know if Vera can come in with that same kind of chill, feel it out game plan. But also, if he comes out and tries to kind of blitz, is he in trouble there too? I like Figgy. I like Figgy. A little of it is bias, but he's been 2-0 so far in the step up in weight. He's a proven champion. Vera got battered in his last fight. This is a big moment for his career, but I mean, it's a huge moment for both of them. It's a huge fight for both of them and for the division. It's like almost, I mean, this could almost be kind of like a title eliminator early on, especially with how the main event goes. Like, those two against these two type of deal, winner of each one, maybe set up next.
So, again, if Vera was more a threat with the hands and the boxing, I would lean Vera. But he's a kicker. His best throw or his best strikes are kicks and teep kicks, and having that distance and controlling the distance, and I just and having the striker like Davison when he does release and let his hands go, and now having kind of tuning his wrestling, and he's still growing and still evolving at 36 years old. Figgy is like it's hard to not take Figgy here after seeing that footage of him leaving the gym of Khabib. So yeah, give me the Brazilian. Give me Figgy to win by decision here.
And here's the thing too, like the public is slightly behind that thought as well. Like Figgy's he's a minus 162, minus 160, depending where you look. Favorite. So like the crowd is the public and the money is right there with you.
Okay, so we move into the co-main event of this card. This co-main event was supposed to be Nick Diaz versus Luque.
Yeah, man.
I would much rather have that fight than Chiesa and Ferguson.
Oh my gosh.
I know people will disagree with that. I don't know who you are, but you better wake up.
They're the Ferguson and Chiesa family. People.
Like people hated on that Nick Diaz Luque fight. I get it. Nick Diaz looked terrible against Lawler, but
Diaz fights are an event, man.
Give me like
they're an event, bro. You know something's gonna happen in a Diaz brother fight.
We grew up with Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is in my Mount Rushmore. He's in my top 5 favorite. Here, like you guys weren't there. You guys weren't watching the sport when Nick Diaz was in prime.
209 in this. Oh, bro, when he was in Strike Force, Elite XC. Like what? Bro, y'all don't even know what Elite XC is, man. Like what?
I know Nick Diaz is new to you guys, but this man was special. And
man.
Even off name value, I'm taking that fight over Chiesa and Ferguson. Like, get that out of here, bro.
That's the thing. Diaz is a bigger name than Chiesa and Ferguson put together.
If you did,
as his little brother just showed against what you call Masvidal.
And if you disagree, you showing your age.
Crazy.
Get out of here. Anyways, we have this new co-main event. We have Sharabullet Magomedov versus Michel Olajaychuk. Sharabullet hasn't been that impressive to me. I know he was a very hyped signee coming into the UFC. People look at he has this look of like an evil villain. And we saw the highlights when the UFC signed this man, and he looked amazing. But his fights in the UFC, his performances just haven't been that impressive to me. I think he still has a long way to go from an MMA development standpoint. The way the MMA community is talking up Sharabullet, I expect it to be wowed in great ways, and it's been lackluster for me in what I've seen.
Even the last fight, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But this guy, he has great kicks. I mean, I think his kicks are better than his hands. Strong, fast kicks, and I like the style matchup for Sharabullet in this fight. Michel is a great boxer. The hands are sharp, but with how Olajaychuk likes to have the distance and kind of have that boxing mentality and the way he kind of moves in and wants to throw. We saw, and this is what kind of gives me confidence to take Sharabullet here. With Olajaychuk being a southpaw, in his fight with Michel Pereira, where he got subbed, Pereira landed a nasty kick to the body, and it was wide open with him being a southpaw in that stance. And with Sharabullet being a great kicker as well, I think that shot is still open. nasty body kicks coming old Chechek's way. So, and then if Shara can't get this fight out or can't finish this fight in first 2 rounds, I think this gets interesting for Shara Bullet. But I don't know. I just think this is the best style matchup for old Chechek. And yeah, I just like the kicking. I love the kicking. Strong kicks from Shara Bullet. So give me a Shara Bullet by KO, by kicks. So yeah, land a strong kick, end it by a ground and pound. So TKO probably. Main event time. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. So this fight was supposed to happen a while ago, but something fell through. Something happened, so it hasn't happened. Obviously, now it's happening. I feel like it's been a few years since this was booked and talked about, and this never came through. But so Umar, I feel like, has been preparing for this fight for a while. He's had time to do the studying, sharpen the tools. Umar is undefeated. It's been hard for Umar trying to find a ranked fighter to fight because no one wants these problems from this man. I mean, this kid is an animal. He has chain wrestling like his cousin Khabib. Has the striking like his brother, the Bellator lightweight champ Usman Nurmagomedov, who's a killer. But Umar, great kicks. He throws kicks from every angle. He probably has the prettiest and nastiest question mark kicks. He sets up his punches by giving you so much to think about with all the kicks that he throws. So how people kind of throw a punch and then follow up with a kick, it's almost reverse and opposite for Umar here, who throws kicks and then the punches follow through behind the kicks. But yeah, a great example, the best example of this, what I'm saying right now, is his KO over Barcelos. He used the teep kicks to manage the distance, and then he started following up with those with jabs. Started following up the kicks with jabs and straights, and then that was the punch that landed and finished Barcelos in that fight. And we did see Umar get rocked in his last fight to an opponent who stepped in on short notice, but Umar recovered and took over from that point on. So I don't really hold much in that, getting rocked by a person who's unknown, taking that short notice fight. Short notice fights can be dangerous for both fighters taking that fight. So I think he just recovered so well to where I kind of forget that he was rocked by a person who had some power in his hand. So I'm taking the recovery and just all that stuff over being rocked from Umar. So Sandhagen, one of the more well-rounded fighters in the division. I feel like his ground game gets overlooked by his striking and just the overall movement on the feet. Switch dances a lot, and I wonder how the switch dances will change some of the strategy in this fight for Umar. But Corey has very dangerous flying knees, as we saw from our guy Frankie Edgar, who got knocked out, who was a victim of these flying knees. It's almost like he pulls his punches and kind of lures you in, and then he just shoots up with the flying knee out of nowhere. He kind of doesn't even. He hides it so well, and he just shoots up so fast it doesn't even look like he's going to throw it. So, a very dangerous weapon from Sandhagen, which I think Umar is aware of, with the great coach and the great eyes from his camp. So, but Sandhagen has fought the tougher competition here. The more seasoned vet.
Well, he's fought a who's who.
Yeah,
man. His resume is crazy.
Going off he came back strong after he got submitted by Aljo in the first round. I thought he beat TJ Dillashaw, even though that was a very controversial decision.
Man,
Watching that fight live, I took Dillashaw. I thought I agreed, but watching that back, I was like, wow. I don't know what I was watching, but I don't know what the judges were either because Corey got robbed. And then he had a great fight versus Jan, and that was a prime Jan. So, where am I at with these notes? But yeah, Sandhagen fought the tougher competition. I feel like the resume of the opponents matters very little when fighting a Russian guy like an Umar. Like we're seeing the evolution, and we've seen it with Khabib. Like these Russian Dagestan wrestlers who are coming from this camp who have such a strong foundation in wrestling, where their skills and striking are kind of matching up with their wrestling. They're just kind of taking over. And like Drew said a few minutes ago on the fight that we're talking about, is these guys are looking for a finish. They're not just laying and praying on you. They're getting takedowns. They're advancing in position. They're landing shots. I mean, if you go back and look at Khabib's kind of record and his resume, he's finishing a lot of fights. And I know people kind of get stuck on the wrestling, and you think that he's just laying and praying on people, but Umar or Khabib he finished a lot of fights, and that's just due to wrestling and ground and pound. So Khabib is training his people well, and they're just being active while getting these takedowns. So, um, it's a tough fight to call. I didn't even write down a winner in these notes because my mind was still kind of just wondering about the winner here. But I'm gonna lean the favorite. I'm gonna take Umar Nurmagomedov to get a huge win Saturday. I just think the wrestling has a lot to deal with, man. And Umar having the striking as well and the wrestling. And again, a big question mark for me is Umar going 25 minutes. I don't know what he's going to look like. He does breathe heavy, so his cardio does worry me, but I think he is going to be okay. Again, I'm just praying that he does do okay for 25 minutes. But Corey sometimes kind of falls into a lull of like not putting any output out.
Yes.
Being a little
Yes.
being a pretty fighter with the striking. And I'm just not a fan of what I saw looking at the tape for this fight. And I just think Umar is just very active with the kicks. If he's not doing wrestling, he's if he's not shooting in, he's kicking your leg or doing something. So I don't know. I can't get behind Sandhagen in this fight. So give me Umar.
That's been one of the coolest things about watching the Dagestani fighters, all the Habib's guys, honestly, is that they, like you said, the wrestling is there. The wrestling is aggressive. They're aggressive on the ground, but and Umar is one of the better ones at it. Is that you got these guys now that they've been training this from such a young age, as far as the wrestling style, like it's in them at this point. And now they're focusing on the striking more, and the striking is getting more diverse. Like in a million years from the time you first started seeing the Russian and Dagestani type of wrestlers, in a million years would you ever thought that one of them would have the prettiest question mark kick in the sport, in your opinion? Like that's kind of going to show like how the striking is evolving with the wrestling, which is scary as hell. Like that's crazy. If they ever end up with, do you have any heavyweights? Because I'd love to see that at heavyweight. But I think that's going to be a big factor in this too. Do you put anything into Sandhagen with the size advantage at all?
No, I don't, because I feel like even though he is bigger, he doesn't use
His style doesn't utilize it.
No, I just don't think
Yeah.
so. And he doesn't even try to use his frame that well either. Again, he's just like a pretty striker who does blitz in. He's starting to mix up the takedowns as well, but I think with where Sandhagen is at with his wrestling and his takedown offense, stuff like that, Umar has seen it and is trained for it, and he's seen everything. So it almost comes down like a striking fight to me. And even though Sandhagen is the pretty striker, he just doesn't have that threatening power.
Well, that's the thing. Like you say, pretty too, and that is he does throw exotic stuff.
He's just
and it's pretty, but it's
if
about being effective.
exactly.
And that's one thing that Nurmagomedov is going to come in. His striking is going to be more effective and probably more towards a goal of getting this fight to the ground and being used to set up takedowns. Whereas, like Sandhagen's throwing pretty and flashy stuff. Like, for what, bro?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like if it just glances the side of the head or something, as opposed to just getting stuck with jabs and kicks,
Like
to set up takedowns.
It looks cool, but what are we doing with this? Again, he does land a lot, but there's no power. He has that dangerous flying knee, but I think that's more dangerous than his hands and his kicks. To be honest with you, yeah, man. Again, I think we saw it from him being exposed by Jan too. I think Jan just didn't care about that pretty shit, and he just walked through that style.
That's
just like,
Jan, yeah,
just
like
being
that's
a tank. Even though Umar does play on the outside a little bit, I just think he's gonna find his timing in 25 minutes and just kind of work Sandhagen. And this fight may be on the cage a lot, but we're gonna see a lot more effective work, and the kicks are gonna matter a lot more from Umar. And with this being in Abu Dhabi, the judges are gonna be leaning Umar every round probably if Corey Sandhagen doesn't have that killer instinct. So yeah, I got Umar by decision.
And then, all right, so I'm looking at the rankings now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got Umar at 10, assuming he wins. You got Font in front of him. You got Aldo. That's a no. Aldo ain't fighting him. Song Yadong.
That could be a good
that
fight.
last fight. Him and Jan. That was yeah.
Oh yeah, Jan. Yeah.
And that's what I was looking up earlier when we had talked about recording this, right? I was looking up the division and what might be next, right? And I'm like, okay, Piotr Jan, who he's on the list of people I love seeing get punched in the face. I don't like Piotr Jan, man. He doesn't have anything scheduled though. Still, he hasn't fought since I believe it was March or May was his last fight. Still nothing scheduled. And I mean, we obviously have up at the top, but then you have Cheeto and Figgy right below Jan with Cejudo at 5. But Cejudo, he's podcasting with Usman's goofy ass now. Usman, by the way, coming out today and saying he'd do the right fit. The thing to do would be to take a fight instead of fighting Bilal for the belt next, which he thinks he deserves. Bro. He said he's going to do the right thing and take a fight first.
Oh, my God.
Shut up, bro. No one wants to see Bilal smoke you for as many rounds as he wants to smoke you. But again, Cejudo podcasting. So Umar's next fight after this, I mean, is it the winner of Figgy and Cheeto? Do you throw him up there to Jan already? Is it more of another prospect like Yadong?
I would lean a Jan or a Figgy fight. I don't know if Figgy would go for that because he just done training with them. Yeah, I don't know if Figgy turns that down or not. Or we set up a Figgy for his Jan.
Ooh, that could be fun.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that could be fun.
But I do feel like Umar definitely needs another fight after this if he wins before he goes for the belt. Again, it's a two-way street. People have to agree to these fights.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to agree to fight Umar to see what he does after he does whatever he does to Corey Sandhagen. But
I mean, if Corey wins,
now that I just said that, I would rather watch Jan and the Figgy fight. That fight.
That was a good one. You landed on a good one there. That's a good fight, man. I'd be excited about. That would be. You know what that would be? That would be another great fight night main event type of fight right there. You could really sell that one too.
Get that in front of a
former
crowd?
champs,
get that in front of a crowd.
Yeah, you could really sell that fight. That's a fun fight, man. Yeah, let's root for that one. Let's root for a Figgy win, and then even if he calls out Jan or something.
Umar, we will see where you land after this win.
That's going to be interesting too. If Umar, if he does win, which I'm with you, I think he does win. If he wins, that's going to be really interesting to see where he how far up in the top 10 he goes.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, with Sandhagen being the more well-rounded fighter in this division, this is a huge step up. But would be a huge win for Umar.
This would
This
be
would
a
be crazy.
huge loss for Sandhagen too. Like
That's insane. Yeah.
Sandhagen loses this, that's pretty much a wrap
Yeah.
on contention at
Yeah.
35. Man.
The work you have to do to get back to being in the contention is crazy.
Yeah.
So let me go over my final picks for this fight night. So starting from top to bottom with the main event, we got Umar Nurmagomedov. Co-main, we have Charles Bullet. We have Davison Figueiredo. We have Michael Chiesa. We have Lupe. I have Lupe Godinez, the underdog number 1. I'm taking Elvis Brener, underdog number 2. I'm taking Azamat. I'm going Fernandeds. I'm going Shamil Gaziev. I'm taking Guram. Guram's a plus 205. Holy sh! Oh my god, is that right? Is Guram a dog?
Don't. So I'm on.
I see ESPN here has the lines, but I don't know if this is a typo or not because that'd be insane.
Let me see. Because right now, yeah, on Caesars they don't have anything yet.
So Guram would be underdog number 3 for me. I'm going Sam Hughes, underdog number 4. I'm going Rolando Bedoya, underdog number 5, and then I'm going Sedriques Dumas. So those are my final picks. But let me just get my final thing for that Guram line because
DraftKings has Guram minus 205.
Okay. I was like, no way.
Yeah. Especially on short
No
notice.
way.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
People are not stupid. I was like, this has to be a typo here. This is no way, bro. I'm getting paid tomorrow. I might just put some money on it right tomorrow.
Yeah, across the board, like
favorite.
It's anywhere from 205 to 215, depending on which book you're at. You're getting Guram money.
Okay, so 4 underdogs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 underdogs for this card.
And I mean, and you got some juicy ones in there too.
And and I feel confident with what I've watched with the tape with the underdog picks. Again, I'm not just shooting a bullet in the dark here. I did my homework. I just feel comfortable with my underdog picks here. My most confident underdog, I would say, just to I'm still rambling here, is Bedoya.
That's the first one I was looking at. Was Bedoya and Hughes.
Yeah, Bedoya is my favorite dog. I think Jai Herbert is not that good, to be honest with you. And he's getting older. His chin's kind of going away. But Bedoya, I think it can be an interesting striking match with Bedoya. But yeah, that is the breakdown for UFC Abu Dhabi going down this Saturday. Again, hopefully I done enough to earn your sub. Comment your picks. Comment what you thought of my picks. But there will be timestamps in the comments section if you're looking for a certain fight. Go in the description and look for whatever fight you're looking for. Hopefully you have enjoyed the breakdown, and we'll see you on the next fight card.